Hi, thanks for tuning in to the Copyright Chat channel. My name is Sarah Benson and I'm the Copyright Librarian at the University Library. If you're watching this video, chances are you're a graduate student who's writing a thesis or a dissertation. You probably have some questions about copyright concerning your academic work. Never fear, I'm here to help. Today, I will briefly point out 4 tips you should know about copyright and your thesis or your dissertation. Tip number 1. You wrote your thesis or dissertation, so you own it. That's true of any piece of academic writing you've engaged in here at the university in your coursework. Why? Well, it's really easy to own a copyright. All you need to do is write or record something that is minimally creative, and you own a copyright. You do not need to put the copyright symbol on the work or register the copyright to own a copyright. Is this news to you? It's news to a lot of other people too. So you might want to put a copyright symbol on your thesis or dissertation because many people are confused about copyright, and including the symbol will put them on notice that you own the work when you deposit it. Tip number 2, you own your work unless you don't. Have you published any portions of your thesis or your dissertation with an academic publisher? If so, you should consult the author's agreement you signed with the publisher. That contract could prevent you from including that portion of your work in your thesis or your dissertation if you transferred your copyright to the publisher and did not reserve any rights for yourself. You should obtain and read the contract. This is good life advice. Always read the contract. And if you've not yet signed a contract to publish a portion of what will become a chapter of your thesis or dissertation, make sure to negotiate with your publisher to reserve some or all of your copyright to yourself. There are some great authors' tools out there, such as the SPARC, S-P-A-R-C, Author's Addendum. And have no fear, if you did transfer all of your rights to the publisher, you can always contact them to ask for permission, in writing of course, to use your published article in your thesis or your dissertation. Tip number 3, you stand on the shoulders of the giants of your discipline. Of course you are incorporating the work of experts who came before you in your thesis or dissertation, and you're citing to those works, but copyright and plagiarism are not the same concept. Even if you cite a photograph, for instance, in your work, the use of a photograph without permission might still raise some copyright issues. So how can you use others' work in your paper legally? First, you can use works that are in the public domain because copyright protection has expired. Works published in the United States before 1924 are in the public domain, and this date is actually a moving target. For instance, on January 1st, 2020, everything published in the United States in 1924 will enter into the public domain. And on January 1st of 2021, everything published in 1925 will enter into the public domain, and so on. Next, you can incorporate Creative Commons licensed work into your own paper as long as you comply with the terms of the license. You can find lots of helpful information on how to attribute Creative Commons works appropriately on the Creative Commons website. Or you could exercise a copyright exception. For instance, there's a copyright exception permitting the use of any legally obtained work in the course of face-to-face teaching for display or performance purposes. Or you could exercise your right to fair use. Fair use is the limitation on the rights of the copyright owner and permits you to use a work without first asking for permission if certain circumstances are met. There are a few things to note here. Fair use is an affirmative defense to copyright infringement and as such always involves a risk assessment. Basically, asking yourself what the potential might be that the copyright owner might sue you for this particular use without permission. You should weigh all of the fair use factors on a case-by-case basis. This means that if you have 20 images you wish to use in your thesis, you would need to do a separate fair use analysis for each image. The 4 fair use factors include the purpose and character of the use, the nature of the underlying work, the amount of the underlying work used, and the impact on the potential market value of the underlying work. There are checklists that can help you make a fair use assessment, including one by Kenneth Kruse. Only you can decide if a particular use is a fair use, but I'm here to help, and there's another video all about fair use for you to watch as well. Finally, you can ask the copyright owner for permission. You should always get permission to use a work in writing. You can stress to the copyright owner that your use is an educational one. There are sample permission letters available online. And you should generally begin by asking the publisher for permission and not the author, because usually the author has transferred copyright to the publisher. Tip number 4, you must deposit your thesis or dissertation with the university. Think through your deposit options before you submit. When you submit, your work will be preserved and accessible to others through IDEALS, the university's digital archive. This is a good thing. It will allow other scholars and potential publishers to see your work. You can retrieve statistics about how many times your work has been downloaded, which can help you to promote your work. When you put your work into IDEALS, you still own the copyright. The university just needs a non-exclusive license from you so that the university can display and preserve your work. You do have the option to embargo your work or make it non-viewable for up to 2 years. The Graduate College has an excellent video explaining your deposit options that you might want to watch. Of course, this was a very quick overview, and you might have more questions. I'm always happy to talk to you via email or in person, and I've created a library guide addressing the topics discussed in this video in more detail, which you can view at guides.library.illinois/copyright for grad students. Thanks for watching. Bye.